Hi guys, and welcome back to Dice Down Gaming. In today's video, I'm going to take a look at the changes that Old Umbrey will be receiving in the January update, go through them with you, give my thoughts and feelings on the changes, and where Old Umbrey might end up post the January update. I'm looking forward to going through this with you, so let's dive right in. Before I do that, I had a comment on my previous video that sometimes I speak very fast. That's really true. When I'm anxious or nervous, I tend to speed up and speak very fast. I do apologise for that, and I am conscious of it. So I'm going to do a better job this time, or try and do a better job in the future of speaking a little bit slower and not speaking at 100 miles an hour. Let's jump into it. The first change we're going to look at isn't actually to specifically Old Umbrey, it's to the Hounds. The Hounds are going to go up 1 point from 8 to 9. They're going to cut all their granted abilities, which I'm all for. Having a granted ability on each model in a unit got very confusing, and working out what model has what ability sometimes is a pain. We're going to cut all of them, and they're going to flatly grant Prowl and Reposition. So they still have Reposition 3, which is really good and really valuable when you can walk up, shoot your guns and Repo 3 back to safety. And Prowl is good, and there's a few ways to trigger that in the faction, such as Kazmir can now cast Fog of War. For 9 points, are they an auto include? I think not. I think with places like Resnikova or say Boddan, where you can help them hit the target and say apply Curse of Shadows or have Insight up so you can buff their damage, probably still worth it. They're still a great unit to hang on a 40mm objective, do their shooting, repo back onto it and score that objective for you. Do I want them in majors like Jana, where I can't offer them anything? Probably not. However, I think they're still good. Not an auto include. They were at 8 points, but still useful. Next up, Allesia has been added to the army. She's a source of revive, and now we know we can revive scapegoats. That's really cool. Reviving Ursons is never bad. So another option for the army. Next up, the Animist goes up a point. Loses a point on Matt. I think that's fair enough. The corpse economy in Old Umbrey is incredibly good. Very easy to self-fuel your primevals via the Animist blood ritual. So going 2 to 3, not a drastic change. It will just mean that support costs you a little bit more. Still very flexible though. Divine Inspiration on a turn is very, very good. Say if Boddan goes in for a melee assassination or onto a key warrior model that's going to go in for an important play, or on for a shifter, say a Lupine Apex who's going to go for a killing spree. Divine Inspiration is also really useful to have. And Rites for Spring, heal D3 for living models within 6 inches, but a friendly faction, is also really good. So I think a fair upgrade. I don't think you'll ever be running 2 Animists, because 6 points is incredibly expensive, and I think with the points increase across the board for Old Umbrey, lists are looking quite tight, as in fitting everything that you want in. So probably be sticking to 1 Animist if you want that corpse economy in your army. Next up, Boddan, probably my favourite Old Umbrey Warlock. No changes to him apart from he gets Inviolable Resolve and Earth Spikes. 2 really, really great spells for Earth Spikes. In faction, we have Primevals that can take an Ancient Staff for granting Geomancy. So you can have Primevals with access to Earth Spikes. Earth Spikes ignores cover and concealment, and Bird's Eye ignores clouds and living models and forests for line of sight. So it's very hard to hide from Boddan's list, and Earth Spike ignores cover and concealment. There's not many things you don't ignore. If you put the Raven Head on your Primeval, you'll also ignore, you have, I think it's True Sight, so you ignore stealth as well. It's a great range assassination tool for Boddan. Move up, shoot something, shift to it, cast Insight, throw in Earth Spikes. Earth Spikes got critical knockdown, so if you critically knock the opponent's leader down, and say you've got a 3 Primevals with Hunting Spears, then suddenly they ignore the intervening models for line of sight. And then if you've got a Raven Head, you also ignore stealth. You can do some cool things like charge a model, kill it, and then throw your 2 spears at the opponent's caster, which may be knocked down due to a crit on your Earth Spikes. It's a really great spell for Boddan to get. And he also gets Inviolable Resolve. A fantastic spell for a unit of Liegeman Ursons, makes them pretty hard to kill. A great spell just for Strix, so can't be knocked down at defense 14. gets to play a part in the game. A great spell for a primeval that hasn't got a bear head, so it can't be dragged or knocked down. A really flexible spell. I think Boddan's looking fantastic. Insight stonks go up big time with everyone losing Mat, Rat and Arcane Attack. So I think Boddan can see a lot of play, and I'm certainly going to be playing a lot of him in the next year. Next up, Chosen the Wits. Right, Vengeance have been standardised into a Vengeance move, which means you can only make melee attacks with Vengeance moves now. Things like Butcher's Bill from Jake's from Gravediggers. Previously, you could move 3 inches and make a ranged attack. All of these moves have been standardised to make a 3-inch move and a melee attack. We've got Ferals. They go down to Rat 4. So if you're using to look for Drek Head, you're probably boosting anyway at Rat 5. So I don't think a massive amount of difference. The Alkay Head loses a point of power, which is the Guard Dog Head. Probably, I think the most common setup is Wings for the Rush Animist and the Guard Dog Head for Guard Dog. The Drake Spray also goes down to 8, which has Stun. And then the Periton Head, which is the 2-inch melee head, it goes up a power. Which is quite nice because this gives the model Blood Quenched, which is when it kills a model you get +1 armor and +1 damage. So starting at that 1 higher power is nice. Once you kill 2 things, you go to power 17. So you could do your 2 initials with your claws, kill 2 things, and then you could have 4 power 17 attacks with the Periton Head. That's not bad. If you were to primal that model, you now got 4 power 19 attacks for a 10 point, I believe, like warbeast, depending on how you build it. Not bad. I quite like that change. I quite like the Periton Head. Next up, we've got the Gorgia. The spray goes to 10. And Weaken goes to -2 death and -2 attack damage rolls for 1 round. Only affects living. No big changes for the Gorgia. So I'm really looking forward to that being able to pre-order and grabbing that for the Old Umbrey. Next up, Dark Sister does see quite a bit of change. She goes down to Mat and Rat 5, which is fair enough. Now she gains Live Deliciously. This was previously on the Shearling Shepherd unit. This is within 5 inches. Shifters gain Bloodthirst, so when they charge, they get +2 speed against living and undead models. This is a big deal. With Kazmir, your Earth and Shifters threat 9 inches without Live Deliciously, and you really do want that in a Kazmir list with lots of Shifters. Previously, this was on Shearlings, so it was very easy just to get your Shearlings in the list, and you would automatically get your Live Deliciously. Now, you're probably going to have to find room for the Dark Sister, plus, say, an Animist going up in points, and if you ran a unit of Ursans, a unit of Ursans going up in points. You're going to have to try and squeeze her in the list. I know some people were looking at Gorgia with Kazmir for the Unyielding Head to make those shifters really hard to shift in melee. You're going to have to try and find points for Dark Sister, I feel. So that's going to be an interesting to see how that affects list building for Kazmir and generally Old Umbrey. And also the Grave Robber, which is her ability to collect corpses, does go up 5 inches. So she's now got a 10-inch aura to collect corpses, which is very good. And it fuels her sort of pseudo Star-Crossed Crawler easier. So she's got better. But I think if you're playing Kazmir, you have to 5 points for her. Next up, you've got Galina. Her feat goes from Repo 5 to 3, which is in line with most things that had Reposition 5 going down to Reposition 3. She gets Wild Aggression, which is a fantastic spell, 3 charges, and boosted melee attack rolls for the warbeast that is on. That's pretty much her only change. Now, she didn't get Surefoot, which some people were sort of hoping she might get. But in a new meta where people have got less accurate, a +2 defense feat is really, really good. And typically, our cohorts are defense 13, Strix is 14. So we're already on the higher end of defense. Under that feat turn, you're going to be defense 15, maybe 16 with Strix. The Chosen the Witch will be 16 under the feat. That's going to mean a lot more when people are less accurate. I think Galina stays incredibly competitive. She keeps Shadow Pack, she keeps Pincushion, and she keeps Refuge. All of those 3 spells are very good. Pincushion is, you have to build for it, but Refuge and Shadow Pack are both great. And Wild Aggression is a fantastic spell. I think Galina stays in a very good spot and stays very competitive. Next up, we have Kazmir. Now, Kazmir gets quite a big change, I'd say. So, typically, you might rack Wild Aggression with Kazmir. You might rack Windstorm, and I would use him as quite a good gun answer. You force people to come close to shoot you. When they shoot you, you shift out shifters that they kill. Those shifters go and kill the things that shot you. That worked quite well for me. Obviously, he's not got access to Windstorm now. So he keeps 4D Evolution, which is a fantastic spell, and he keeps Carnage. So he keeps 2 incredibly good spells. Carnage goes up to cost 3. So if you are casting Carnage, and maybe you've kept Forced Evolution, you're going to have less Fury on your camp for that turn. Not the end of the world, but relevant. He gains Muzzle. If that either hits or damages a Warbeast, I can't remember. That Warbeast can't move towards you. Pretty niche, but against, say, a Gargantuan that can't move towards Kazmir, that could be some really good control. Or later in the game, when you're down to just a few cohorts, being able to muzzle a cohort and stopping it moving towards Kazmir could be some really good control. Now, Fog of War is not bad. There are attachments for Wardens which give them Prowl, so you can self-trigger your stealth for your Wardens. Concealment on an army that's on the higher end of defense for the cohorts. I mean, the Ursans go to defense 14 under concealment. It's not terrible. It's a good spell. Does it mean that Kazmir is as good into guns as he was? Probably not. I still think he's a decent gun answer, with people losing range on their guns typically. When they come and shoot your Wardens or your Ursans, they're probably going to be in range for you to shift out a shifter and then go engage that model. You probably still need Dark Sister to allow that to happen. But I think he remains an incredibly good caster. Another nuance is that when he feats previously, you could remove all damage on Kazmir, which made him pretty unkillable until he feated. That has been removed. So he just shifts but doesn't take all the damage off of him. As well as that, defeat has been changed to +2 armor in melee damage rolls from +3 armor and melee damage rolls. So I think Kazmir stays in a very good place, a very competitive place. The feat turn down, I think, was probably fair. +3 is an incredibly big number for both stats. You really need those shifters to trade up into cohort in your Kazmir list. Do they still trade up when they just get +2 to melee damage rolls? We'll have to wait and see. But certainly remains incredibly good. Next up, we've got Maxim. Now, Maxim was a bit of a menace at the WTC. Double Bears, Battle Formation, Inviolable Resolve, as well as Starred for Gnawing Pain. I mean, one unit of Bears could be armor 26. Another unit of Bears is probably armor 22 with a Battle Formation and Unyielding. You could spread out the Gnawing Pain to maybe make both 24. They made a very, very tanky list. Bears are incredibly good. Previously, they just had dual attack, had 4, initial attacks between them. So this is, I think, Kazmir has received the most meaningful changes. He's lost a point of armor. He's lost a point of power on his melee attack. He gains Windstorm, which we now know is not as effective as it used to be. It's now essentially warping winds. So if you target a model within 3 inches of Captain Azanov, you'll get -3 range on that attack. It used to be an 8-inch or rather than 3 inches. So massive change to that. And he also gains Spirit Fang. Field Master Gangfighter now longer gives you +2 to hit rolls, just damage rolls, in line with the new lethality changes. So I think, he's got Arcane Might, Revive, Windstorm and Spirit Fang, which is probably on the weaker side of spell list. Arcane Might is not bad. Spirit Fang is pretty niche. Windstorm is good into guns, but doesn't affect as much. And Arcane Might is still very good. Gangfighter no longer makes you very accurate. Just makes you hit very much harder, which I think the faction already hits quite hard. And it makes him that he's not suddenly Mat 9 power 18 when he goes into stuff. He can be Mat 7 and power 17 with Gangfighter. A bit more reasonable numbers, and I think he probably still is very good. His feat remains very good and allows you to threaten quite far. Windstorm will protect a smaller area of the board, but maybe the things you need protecting. We'll have to see how much Azanov is played going forward. I think he still looks good, probably not the cream of the crop in Old Umbrey anymore. Next up, we've got Jana, and I'm really excited to play Jana. She gains 2 spells, Deathbringers. This gives your battle group grievous wounds. I really like this. You're probably going to be running quite a few cohort with Jana because Conferred Rage is very good, especially when we've lost Mat and Rat and Arcane Attack, mainly Mat. Conferred Rage gives you +2 Mat. So suddenly Primevals, they go down to Mat 6. They go back up to power, they go back up to Mat 8 with Conferred Rage. It's really very good. And Wind Wall, the spellcaster cannot make ranged attacks after casting the spell, and non-magical ranged attacks targeting it automatically miss. That is true for anyone within 3 of the spellcaster. So this is as good as Windstorm. In some matchups, there'll be no ranged magical attacks that can target you, and it will be very, very good. In some matchups, there'll be plenty of magical ranged attacks, and it won't do much. However, the feat has had a change. Friendly faction models begin activating Jana's control, gain Pathfinder, and can make an additional attack. Additionally, while in control, friendly faction models gain Overtake. Now, previously, this was Cleave, and just one additional attack is a lot better than just Cleave. A few things that come to my mind straight away. Primevals have a great choice of attacks. A Bone Sword is power 18 base, and it's got crit amputation. Or you've got a Blessed Claw, which is power 16, but is blessed. A free power 20, or power 18 is very good, sorry. If you primal the Primeval, you've got additional power 20 attack, unconditional. And then if you have got 5 corpses and you've got primal, you've got a power 22 attack, always. Previously, Overtake meant you'd have to kill something to get this extra attack. Sorry, Cleave would mean you have to kill something to get this extra attack. Now, you're just going to get that extra attack all the time. So premium attacks like Primeval will go into another cohort. It just has a free Bone Sword attack. A Gora has an extra big swing. Your Chosen of the Witch that are charged in a cohort all get an additional attack. There's some really fantastic options in the army to have a free additional attack that is unconditional on you killing something else. Everything that goes into cohorts now that hasn't got a model to trigger a cleave attack just gets an extra attack. As well as that, you get the extra attack just for beginning in Jana's control, so you can charge out of control and retain that extra attack. Really, really strong. Grievous Wounds to your battle group means if you go into something you don't kill it, you might be able to cripple it. And as previously saying, with these little ferals, if you trigger Conferred Raise, they go to mat 8. Maybe they can walk up or charge, kill a few models. Suddenly go into a cohort of power 18 or 19. They do a few attacks. It's got Grievous Wounds, and you cripple a system. That means you can't get that feral back. That'll make some really interesting engagements and allow feral to trade up really well. I'm really excited for Jana, and I think she's going to be a premium brawler warlock. Next up, Vilko and Razor. They're going down to 18 points. I quite like that. I find there's not too much synergy in the faction for Razor. It's a bit as part of the global Vengeance move change. Avenging Force will only allow you to make a melee attack. It's a big hit for Razor. You would typically use your Avenging Force move to move and make a free gunshot. At 18 points, 2 points is a big reduction, 10% reduction. Will I be playing Razor a lot more? Probably not. Will I give him a bit of time? Now he's a bit cheaper. Probably. I'll give that a go. Razor goes down to mat 6 as part of the changes. We also get Colden Lord Damien. This is a really cool addition. Jana loves a free spell. I should have sort of said that Jana gets to keep, Fury, Strength, and Dash. 2 really good spells. And Damien is a great model to spell slave, move up and cast a free Fury, Strength. So you're still making sort of Legion Wardens with Stir the Blood and Fury, Strength and Brutal Charge power 17 on the charge. That's really, really nice. I think it would be a great addition for Jana, and maybe other casters that want to cast spells but are a bit Fury starved for it. Mainly for me, Jana is the first one that comes to mind. Legion Hunters, which are mat 6, go down to mat 5, which is fair enough because they're your ranged unit. The Urson Champion goes down to mat 6. Ursons go to 1 point up, they lose a point of rat, and they gain assault. This is fair enough. They had, for 10 points, some amazing stats, 3 initial melee attacks, and a spray. They were both mat 6 and rat 6, so in range of the Urson Champion's vet leader. They were mat 7 and rat 7. They were just too good for their points. Now they're a bit points more intensive at 11, and if they want to do their sprays, they have to be charging. They're not always going to be putting out so many attacks for their points. I think it's a good change. I think you'll probably still see Ursons. 2 units now is a big investment. 1 is probably feasible, and they still do good things when they charge. You can still charge, do a spray, and make 3 more attacks. And it will still be 7 inside of vet leader, so you're still fairly accurate. Next up, we've got Lord of the Hunt. He loses a rat. His bite loses crit shred, but he also gains another attack. So that helps offset that critical shred. And he changes the text to Body Snatcher for one or more corpse tokens, any models within 10 lose stealth. That's quite nice. They have to have line of sight to it. I think previously you didn't need line of sight to strip that stealth. Lord of the Hunt, I've not put on a table yet. He feels very, very good into characters, as he's got Fortune Hunter. He feels a bit lacking into non-characters. He's still a very good model, could still play the game from a distance and throw a few spears and repo to safety. I'm going to get him on the table soon. These changes don't make him any worse or better, I don't think. Slightly worse that you need line of sight to strip stealth, but if you're not getting crits, you get an extra melee attack anyway. Not too shabby. Lupine Apexes get Life Drinker on their bites, which is really nice. You can heal back if you kill living, and they get the Gang Fighter change, but they aren't going to get the accuracy, but they are going to get the power. That's fair enough, and that's a global change. Gang Fighter also is changed the same for Lupine Shifted. Allesia gains Lashing Tendrils and Curse of Shadows. Incredibly good Warlock. You have Harvest, you have Thistle, you have Stranglehold, you have Rapid Growth to create a forest. Now you have Lashing Tendrils and Curse of Shadows. A really fantastic toolkit. Her feat fixes, Mat for a turn or Rat, -2 defense. It fixes your accuracy for a turn. And your Curse of Shadows to apply an armor debuff as well. She can move forward, cast a spell, Strange Growth backwards. Lashing Tendrils is a fantastic spell, 2 inches of melee for a unit or a cohort, and chain weapon. It extends your threat, it ignores shields. I think Alessia's got an incredibly good kit, everything you want for a good caster. -2 speed on the feet as well for a bit of control. I think she remains premium. I don't think Old Umbrey have ended with a bad Warlock. I think you've got 6 very good Warlocks, and you can't pick a bad one. The Primeval loses 1 point actually across the board. That's fair enough. I think Primevals are very, very good for 14 points. You get the Bear Head for no knockdown, stationary, push, or slam. You also get a sword, a Blessed Claw, and you get... that's it. They only have 3 choices. I think Primevals are really, really good. They stay really, really good. They're a tiny bit less accurate across the board, but nearly everyone in this army has a way to fix that. Allesia has got her feet. Boddan has got Insight. Kazmir has got Carnage. Galina's got Wild Aggression. There's one more. Jana's got Conferred Rage. Everyone has access to Primal. If you want to hit something, you're still going to hit it. So Primeval's still looking good. Shearlings, big thing to Shearlings. We saw this before in the preview article. They get a point cheaper. The Dark Shepherd goes down to Arcane Attack 6, goes down to Mat 5, loses to Live Deliciously. It's quite a big for Kazmir. As I previously said, you're putting Shearlings on a list anyway, and you got Live Deliciously off the back of it. Now you might have to find room for Dark Sister in those lists. The goats, they lose Ram. They lose auto knockdown on their attacks. It's fair enough. It was a pun because they're a goat. But and they also go to Mat 5. Less of the melee threat that they once were. And Scapegoat can only be used for melee attacks. This is a big change. Old Umbrey previously could cover guns quite well with 2 goats plus a couple of shapeshifters plus Windstorm. You were actually not too bad into a serious gun line. I think the army now is a lot worse into gun lines. Windstorm is worse, and you don't have access to that across all of your warlocks. Goats that now only work for against melee attacks. So I think the army is a lot more vulnerable into gun lines, but I think that's fair enough because I think it's probably the best brawling army in the game if you want to fight. No one does it better than Old Umbrey, I don't think. But it does mean that they're going to have a good plan to play into guns. Kazmir, for me, is probably still going to be my go into guns. With the loss of range, I'm hoping that people have to get close enough that when I shift out an Apex Lupine or an Apex Ursine, people are still close enough that I can go engage those guns and fight them. Nice thing about Shearlings is now they're only 4 points. If you've got a list that isn't teched into playing guns, you keep them and they're a point cheaper. If you've got a list that is teched into playing guns, you can probably remove them because they're not really going to interact with a gun line very well. Next we've got Strix, gets 1 point more expensive, but gains Saint Attack Shifter on the 2 Talons. This is what a rule that Boddan has, that you can place yourself base to base with the model that you hit. Definitely going in with Boddan. This is really cool and makes some really interesting angles into, say you're hitting Colossal twice and place base to base and get to a caster behind. There's lots of situations where this will make your opponent think really carefully how they place their models. Boddan's got Befuddle, so you could move a model 3 inches in a way where you can do the chain attack and then shift and be placed base to base somewhere good, maybe in melee range of opponent's caster. I really like this. It's going to make some really cool plays for Strix. Sign, Apex and Veroni lose Matt, and the Witchmark totem goes down to 1 point and gains inconsequential. I think it's a bargain for 1 point. The rule where a model coming close to it takes a damage roll, and if they take damage, they're knocked down. It makes warrior models really hard to kill it. For 1 point, I think you're probably finding room for the totem in most lists now. It still gives them minus armor, and still is a pain for warrior models to kill in melee. That sums up the changes to Old Umbrey. I think they were given a really light touch, which is quite nice. They're the newest army. You don't really want your new army to get really hammered and feel unplayable. I think they remain incredibly competitive. I think they will have to have a good plan to play into serious gun lines now, and there's less coverage for that across all the Warlocks. Now we've lost Windstorm across the board, and now we lose Shearlings can't go into ranged attacks. However, I think they remain incredibly competitive. I think they still hit like a freight train. They can still remain very accurate across the army. Nearly every Warlock can fix your mat or accuracy in some way, and you've got Primal to always in your back pocket. I'm really excited to play Old Umbrey in 2026. I'm going to start with Boddan and probably Kazmir, maybe Boddan and Jana, depending on how prevalent gun lines are and if I really need a list dedicated to play against guns. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts about the Old Umbrey changes. Do you think they were fair? Do you think they were too harsh? Are you excited to play them or play against them? And if you're playing them, what's your first pairing ideas? If you got this far in the video, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one very soon.